So Ike Perlmutter is a big name when it comes to Marvel Comics. But in the last couple years, there's been a downsizing in Marvel in every regard and consolidating everything under one roof. Now, with Kevin Feige in charge of everything, Ike Perlmutter looks like his days are numbered from calling any shots. So let's get into this. So as many of you are aware, Ike Perlmutter is important when it came to Marvel Comics, and he was calling a lot of the shots in the early days of the MCU. A big rift happened between him and Kevin Feige around 2013 to 2016. This is where everything really heated up. Ike Perlmutter ended up taking away the Inhumans. He ended up giving rushed budgets and productions to a lot of the Netflix stuff because he was still calling a lot of shots. Ever since the President of the United States, Donald Trump, was elected, Ike Perlmutter, being a very good friend of his, went on to work in his cabin, and obviously his power and hold of Marvel has somewhat diminished considering he can't do the day-to-day basics. But now, with Marvel all under Kevin Feige, if you guys look at the recent Variety article, which breaks down what's happening, confirms what everybody has been saying in the last year or so. Ike Perlmutter is more or less right now out. He has very little say, and if anything, he's only there in name only because he has to be due to how many shares and how important he is within holding onto Marvel things. But him calling shots on anything is over. And if you look at history, it makes a lot of sense. Right now, there's a lot of representation going forward in Marvel Comics, but also in Marvel Studios. When it came all the way to Phase 1 and Phase 2 and Phase 3, they tried to put a Black Widow movie in there very early on. He didn't want any of that. When it came to toy production, he said no female characters. When it came to Captain Marvel trying to get a movie off the ground as early as 2011, he was having none of that. He just did not want it. So Kevin Feige had to step over him and get things rolling down the road. Now, obviously, with Jeff Loeb on his way out, Kevin Feige replacing him, Kevin being in charge of overseeing everything Marvel, it stands to reason that, yeah, his days are numbered, and more or less, he's just gonna sit out the rest of his contract and kind of just collect paychecks, right? And this wouldn't be the first time this has happened with a big name involved with a corporation. It's certainly not gonna be the last. You know, you look at like Bill Gates, Microsoft, if you just look at the history of that, yeah, you'll get what I'm saying here. And honestly, this is probably the best case scenario. Perlmutter has made very questionable choices in recent history. I know many people are going to go, well, I don't like the whole shift from Marvel Studios and representation. But if you guys look at Marvel Comics, remember who got rid of the Fantastic Four and the X-Men and pulled them out of all games and was just wheeling, dealing all those licenses anywhere they could go for a quick buck? Yeah, that was him. It's probably safe to say that they don't want those mistakes repeated, and he's on his way out. So it'll be interesting to see how they proceed with this, and certainly Kevin Feige steering the ship hasn't really failed them so far, so let's wait and see.